Broadcasting from the Bayou State and all around the Gulf Coast and streaming nationwide. This is the C.L. Bryant Show.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the C.L. Bryant Show. I am C.L. Bryant, and I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us out there today. Broadcasting live throughout the fruited plains of the greatest nation on the face of the earth, the greatest success story the world has ever known. That is America. And I want to welcome aboard our friends in southern Arkansas as well as East Texas. It is, in fact, one of those days where you just sort of kind of wish it was cool. So you go home and with a good book or something and maybe light a fire and forget about it. Those days are not far off, I don't think, but I do not want to forget about the folks in the southern part of my home state, Louisiana, who are, in fact, displaced, and so many of them may never go home again. This is a time where all of us need to join together and understand that the milk of human kindness must be very apparent. I was looking at some figures as to what occurred as far as this rainfall was concerned there in Baton Rouge, in Gonzales in particular. My son lives between Gonzales and Prairieville there in that area. His house had over 3 to 4 feet of flood in it. They're all fine. He and my daughter-in-law, and our grandchildren are all just fine. But folks, listen to this figure: 6.9 trillion gallons ran into a place that is the size of Connecticut. Yeah, those parishes that were affected in southern Louisiana, or at least the landmass that was affected in southern Louisiana, would be the size of Connecticut, which all of you know is not a very large state. There are 11 people dead, and we're going to be talking to the Republican chair here, Louis Avallone, went in just at the top of the hour, after the top of the hour, and the economic impact on Louisiana is untold. And the displacement of tax dollars from those who will by necessity have to move north or move out of the state, that is untold as well. I'm speaking now to all of you throughout the fruited plains, and I certainly want to say that we appreciate all of the concern that so many of you have shown during these times here, these stressful times here in our home state, in my home state of Louisiana. I want you to hear what I'm about to say, but I'm speaking specifically at this point to my fellow Louisianians. We are facing dire economic situation right now, whether we have taken the time to look down the road or whether we will eventually take that time to analyze what this truly means to our economy that was already hurting. We're going to have to take a good, strong look. As most of you know, the strong activity, economic activity, that does occur in our state, the bulk of it, and in fact the bulk of the political focus many times, is there in southern Louisiana. And so we have to, at this point, start, once we get our people secured, once we get our babies fed and our people back in place where they can call their own, Louisianians, we're really going to have to take a very strong look at where we go from here economically. Because before the floodwaters, we already were in trouble. So that's just a thought here in this opening segment that we'll deal with a little bit more in detail with party officials when I come back after the top of the hour. We will be taking your calls at the bottom of the 6 o'clock hour, 320-5335, 318-320-5335. Now, it appears that Donald Trump has declared war. He has declared war. Let me tell you what I mean by that. He has brought on board a fellow by the name of Stephen Bannon, as the news media call him. We call him Steph Bannon. And if you look on my, go to my Twitter account, @RevCLBryant, @RevCLBryant, you'll see an interview that he and I were doing with each other. I was interviewing him, he was interviewing me, and we were having a lot of fun there. Both of us were friends of the late great Andrew Breitbart, who Michelle and I were kind of arguing back and forth over, would Breitbart be a Trump supporter or would he not be? And I don't know, who knows? But just the same, Bannon definitely had taken Breitbart News in the direction of Trump. And at this point, with Trump showing to be down in most polls across the nation, personally, I think it was a very wise move for him to bring in a political operative who is a master at scorched earth. That's who Stephen Bannon is. He is a master at it. He's made him the CEO of his campaign. And so when I tell you that Trump has declared war, when he has done it, it's sort of like, well, anyway, we'll talk a little bit more about that when I return. I thank you for coming along with us. Don't go anywhere. This is going to be coming up as Rose Tennant of Rose Unplugged. She's in Pittsburgh, and we're going to talk about how PA figures into this presidential race, Pennsylvania. I'll be right back with Rose Unplugged.
Like a dog that's been beat too much till you spend half your life just to cover him up now. Born in the USA.
CL back with you on this Wednesday evening here in the Arklatex, the jewel cities of the Arklatex. I want to thank you so much for joining us here this evening. And be careful out there on the highways. It is raining still here in North Louisiana, slacked up in southern Louisiana. Water's receding somewhat. Joining me now is a dear friend, a good friend of mine, and that is Rose Tennant of her own show, Rose Unplugged. And Rose, I see that we're to join you there in South Point at the Hilton Garden Inn for a grand old party, a star-spangled evening. Tell us about it, Rose. Welcome back to the C.L. Bryant Show.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Hi, CL, how are you?
Doing fantastic, girl.
Oh, my gosh, it's so good to talk to you. So many things are going on. We're going to have a fun night at the South Point Hilton Garden Inn, by the way. And you can find out more about that at Rose Unplugged.
Rose Unplugged.
Yeah.
Rose Unplugged. Go there.
Unplugged. Yes, everywhere is Rose Unplugged.
We have a lot of listeners in the PA area who listen to us via our what do you call it? But not only on the internet, but on our app. Download our app, the CL Bryant Show app. Rose, that tells you just about how old I am. I can't even think of the word app. But now, Rose, Pennsylvania. You're in Pittsburgh. You're in PA, and Pennsylvania is definitely shaping up to be a battleground state for Donald Trump to win. And I'm thinking, Rose, that he must win Pennsylvania.
He must win. You know, it was interesting yesterday, Gary Tuckman from Anderson Cooper's show on CNN was filming my show in the morning, and then we did a brief interview. Of course, they didn't use all of it, but the topic was voter fraud in Pennsylvania. And it's interesting because, you know, it's the way they ask the questions. So, Rose, if Donald Trump loses Pennsylvania, he has an excuse. It's voter fraud. But what people don't understand is that we are fabled in story and song in Pennsylvania for our voter fraud. I mean, it's a tradition for us. It's like a Democrat tradition. You're in Pennsylvania. It happens, and it happens to a large degree. So there is definitely a problem here. So when Donald Trump talked over the weekend about how he would definitely win Pennsylvania, the only thing he's worried about is voter fraud, he's absolutely right. There's no need to mock him. He is precisely right on.
But the mocking is going on. I mean, Rose, I have never. You know what? I have seen some ugly campaigns. I mean, nasty campaigns, presidential, what have you, campaigns. But this type of attacking, the type of attacking that's going on by Donald Trump, not only by the media, but this is what bothers me, Rose. People in the party. That really bothers me. What do you say?
I've so had it with these people. You know, we are going to win in spite of them, and I think what people don't realize, especially here in Pennsylvania, where we've had the fracking industry, the coal industry. We have Democrats who care about the Second Amendment. They are looking towards Donald Trump. They are not looking at Hillary Clinton. And I'm telling you, this is something that no one is taking into consideration, and that is the number of Democrats that will be voting for Trump in the fall. I have seen, I know it sounds anecdotal, but I have seen an increase in Democrat listenership on my show, something I've never seen to this degree in 20 years.
That's great. That's great. I have many who call in as well, and then those who text. And so they are looking, Rose, for something different. They can't stomach Hillary. And they're unsure, and that's the word, they're unsure of Trump, but I think it's more that he's been made to seem uncertain to them by and he's right, by the unfair media coverage that he gets now. Now, on the other hand, he benefited from it during the primaries. He benefited from it. Mm-hmm. But now they have turned on him like you cannot believe. Well, I know you believe it.
I've never seen anything like it. Never. Not in 20 years I've been doing the show.
Stephen Bannon, who Trump has chosen now to be his CEO of his campaign, he and I, if you go to my Twitter page, at RevCLBryant, you'll see an interview that, well, we were actually interviewing each other. Andrew was not far away during that interview. And so I think he was right across the place, but both of us were good friends of Breitbart's. What Trump has done, Rose, he has now, without any question at all, declared this to be a war and that he's going back to being himself. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? What do you think?
I think putting someone like Stephen Bannon on the team, I'll tell you how you know it was a good idea. The New York Times is calling Stephen combative. CNN is calling him a street fighter.
He's that.
I mean, if they hate him that much, then you know that he made a good decision. But I will say this: Breitbart has an awesome reputation for always being out there and being truthful about what's happening on TPP and TPA. The elite right in Washington, D.C., the elitist group of Republicans that are only looking to line their pockets and live off of high on the hog off of our dime. They hate Breitbart, so and anyone that comes out of Breitbart. Breitbart has had the reputation, as has Stephen Bannon, of being honest, brutally honest about what's going on, and they didn't care if they were taking an unpopular stand. And that's what I appreciate about them, and I think he made a good decision. I've been saying all along that Trump needs to put people on his team like you and I or Steve Bannon who understand, they understand how ideologues work. And the ideologues will set a trap for Mr. Trump every single time, and he'll walk into it every single time because he is not an ideologue.
Right.
He is a man who loves this country and thinks he can make a difference. He is
Right.
not a politician. He's not an ideologue.
And sometimes that's to his detriment. But listen, hang around, everybody.
Okay.
You hang around because Rose Tennant is going to be back on the air with me here in just a few minutes after the break. Rose Tennant, Rose Unplugged.
Make you burn, gonna make you stay. Hey, baby, when you walk that way, watch honey drip, can't keep away.
CL, back with you on this Wednesday evening here in the jewel cities of the Arklatex. Folks, I was down in Beaumont last night, and I got to tell you something. I just lose track of days. I'm on my way to Chicago this weekend, and forgive me sometimes if I lose track of the day. Michelle keeps the train running on time, though, and I certainly do appreciate that. On the line with me is a good friend. Her show, Rose Unplugged, emanating from Pittsburgh, PA. And we were talking to Rose Tennant about Pittsburgh and its significance. Rose, Pittsburgh tends to vote Democrat sometimes, doesn't it? Does it seem as though the mood may be shifting this time? I see that Trump's behind in the polls by 9, maybe plus points. Is that accurate? How are you seeing that?
No, I don't see those as accurate, not at all. As a matter of fact, and I think that we're starting to see that some different numbers showing up that indicate that it's a lot closer race than we expected or suspected. All along, though, I believe he can win. I really do. I'll never forget Karl Rove predicting that Mitt Romney was going to win by a landslide. I never believed that, and then he had a little meltdown on Fox, if you remember, the night of the election returns, and then they banned him for a while because his behavior is so freaking embarrassing. But he insisted he was going to win by a landslide. I never believed any of those things, and I'll tell you right now, I don't believe that Donald Trump is behind. I believe it's a tight race. It shouldn't be when you consider how crooked Hillary really is. He was always right about that. It really shouldn't be a close race. But I think he can win. I really think he can win. Crooked
Hillary and Creepy Joe came out on the ban on the stump the other day. And did you see the embrace that Joe had Hillary in? She was trying to get out of it, and Creepy Joe wouldn't let her go.
But, yes, I saw that. But what freaked me out more was when he said, the guy that has, the codes for the news feed. Well, he's right here. He's right there. And then he went on to say that Donald Trump can't be trusted with the nuclear codes, and he's telling everyone, if we had a terrorist in the audience, all he had to do is capture that man, torture him, and get the codes. Yeah,
Joe was, oh my God, you're right, Rose. He actually pointed out the man who had the codes. That's so great.
Only Joe Biden, right?
That's Joe. Laugh a minute. But what's so weird about Joe is that people just think he's a big, kind of St. Bernard kind of guy, you just pet him on the head and he goes away or whatever. But no, he can actually be dangerous.
He can't be because he's so stupid.
Well, let me ask you this now, because 83 days is what we're looking at right now. Wow. 83 days from the date of November 8th, and traditionally, when we get to Labor Day, Labor Day, which is the end of this month, usually whoever is ahead after Labor Day wins the election. That's been a trend. Sometimes it doesn't hold up, but usually who's ever ahead after that poll, Labor Day, that's who wins this election. And so we don't have long to start making some inroads, and I think that we need to start doing that right now. Do you think Trump is actually changing back into his old self? He's putting on the old Superman uniform.
Yeah, I think everyone says, he needs to be careful about his message. Yes, he is on message. But the minute he says one thing about the Second Amendment, one thing about Obama founding ISIS, which essentially is true. He didn't found ISIS, of course we know that, but he certainly provided fertile ground for ISIS.
Yeah.
And ISIS has grown by 10,000 every year that Obama has been in office. So, but they zero in on something like that. They're waiting. He could stand on stage, CL, and just breathe and not say a word, and they will find something wrong with that.
And what you just said is so important, Rose. What you just said is so important. You and I understand what he was saying about Hillary and Obama being the founders of ISIS. Well, you and I understand that. And in its proper context, you're right. He actually did plant the seeds or plow the ground so that ISIS could grow to what it is now. In fact, calling them the JV team basically said that he did not take them seriously to begin with.
Right.
And look at what they are now. And so you're right about Trump can just stand on stage and breathe, and something's wrong with that. Hillary gets away with murder. I won't go into that. But just the same, I don't understand. I really don't understand it. Can you explain the Hillary Clinton phenomenon?
I cannot, only that the media is dictating to all of us how we should perceive this election. Even people on the right have texted me, people I've known for years. Oh, they're wringing their hands. Oh, my God. I mean, look at Trump. Why is he saying these things? And I said, they have allowed the media to dictate to them how they need to respond to this election. And it's BS. It's BS. I'm so tired. And I'll say something else. You think it was bad, ISIS under Obama? If we even have only 4 years, only 1 year with Hillary Clinton, I'll tell you something. It'll be worse than we've ever known it. Jihadists are being trained right on the other side of our border, Mexico. They're being trained to come in here and kill Americans.
Rose, let me tell you. News flash, Rose. Let me give you a news flash. You share with your people tomorrow. They're here. They are here. And there are cells here. I have you have ex-GIs and ex-military people on your show, and we have Navy SEALs and so forth like that on the show all the time, and intel people. And I'm telling you, Rose, they are here. Give out your website, Rose, for us one more time. Time always seems to fly by when we're talking.
You are so sweet. I love being on with you. RoseUnplugged.com, and on Facebook it's Rose Unplugged. Love to hear from people and get their input on what's going on. It's been an interesting race. It certainly has.
Be sure to go and check her out. You want to see what's in this woman's mind because she tells it like it is. Unbroken, unbowed. That is Rose Tennant. My good friend, I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, sweetie. Good. I look forward to it.
I'm CL. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
In that Texas town, about to shack outside the game. And you know what I'm talking about. Just let me know if you wanna go to that whole mile on the range. They got a lot of nice girls.
Broadcasting from the Bayou State and all around the Gulf Coast and streaming nationwide. This is the C.L. Bryant Show.
It is important now that all of us get on the train or push the wagon or whatever metaphor we need to use for going forward and making sure that we get a Republican in the White House. I am a Republican. I'm proud to be a Republican. Donald Trump is the Republican nominee. Who am I voting for? Donald Trump. Joining me is the chairman of the Republican Party here in Caddo Parish, and that is my good friend, Louis Avallone. Louis, welcome back to the C.L. Bryant Show.
Thank you, CL. It's always a pleasure.
Glad you're here. Louis, are we healing? Is the party healing, or is there still work to be done? We don't have long time to do that.
No, we don't. And, you know, there's so many folks out there that are saying that they're not comfortable for voting for Donald Trump. Whether it's Ted Cruz, John Kasich, Lindsey Graham, more than 75 Republicans have signed a letter urging that the Republican Party spend the party's money on helping secure the Republican majority. But you know, to them, I would just say, you're not comfortable. You're not comfortable. Okay, pardon me, but I don't give a damn about your comfort. This election is not about you.
Right.
Or your namby-pamby, wow, I'm a big kid now, what's in it for me
Louis.
Culture. I mean, it's just not.
I love it, man.
you
I
know-
love it when you come out
Well,
like this.
I mean, how comfortable was the 1st Infantry Division when they hit the beach at Omaha, knowing that they would not likely survive the German snipers? How comfortable is the mother or father who watches their son or daughter go off to war, not knowing exactly where they are or if they'll ever see them again? There are a lot of things in this world that we do that we're not 100% comfortable with.
Absolutely right. If you're a patriot, you must then understand that question that you've been asking, how comfortable were the founding fathers when they said to themselves, among themselves, we pledge to each other, Louis, our lives, our fortunes, our sacred honor. There had to be a point of discomfort when the wives heard them say that I'm pledging everything to make sure that we have a republic for our children. And so to save the republic, Louis, there is a comfort zone, and I love what you're saying, that we must come out of. Continue, my friend.
Well-
You're on a roll.
Well, how comfortable are you that government has seemingly crept into every nook and cranny, that we can't choose our doctor anymore, or the curriculum being taught in our schools, or even practice our religion in some instances without being bullied into silence? How comfortable are you that we can't even recite the Pledge of Allegiance under God without being sued?
Wow.
Or that we're paying more and more taxes each year, and that household incomes are the lowest that they've been in 20 years, and that 94 million Americans are not even working right now.
Wow. That's a third of the nation.
So to those folks that say, I'm not comfortable voting for Donald Trump, I simply ask, how comfortable are you with the reality that our nation is facing right now?
Folks, listen, not for nothing, as my friends up around Jersey say, but not for nothing. You have to think about what Louis Avallone just said, chairman of our party here in Caddo Parish. Think about this. 94 million Americans are out of the labor force. There's only 320 million Americans in the country. We're talking close to a third of the entire population of our nation. Can you be comfortable with that continuing? Louis, can they be?
Well, if you look at Hillary Clinton, and no, the answer is absolutely not. What's left of the American dream she is going to absolutely take away. She is going to raise taxes on the middle class. She's already said that everyone needs to pay their fair share. She will continue deficit spending. She will increase our national debt with a $275 billion federal investment program in our infrastructure.
That's Hillary Clinton.
You remember that was done to the tune of about $875 billion back in 2010, where we were going to have shovel-ready jobs.
Never
of course,
happened.
but that's a whole other story. She's going to continue her national security policy that she's been practicing at the State Department, which is what has allowed ISIS to gain power and become the world's most dangerous organization.
The JV team.
Her immigration policy will continue. It will promote more sanctuary cities in our country where people in our country here illegally can evade prosecution of our laws.
Kate Steinle's killer, he had gone in, come back in, gone in, come back in, and then he shot Kate down in front of her father. Go ahead,
And
Louis.
you were just talking about this a few minutes ago, where you're talking about terrorists in our own country. And with that type of immigration policy, folks will be able to conceal themselves long enough where they can attack our homeland, all while political correctness will run amok. We will continue to be bullied into silence and not be able to call a duck
When it quacks.
when it quacks. And so Trump may not be your choice, but for God's sake, he's the only choice that makes sense.
Conservatives, Republicans, and you Democrats, haven't you had enough of the same old that we have seen that have just taken this country to the place where we are right now? The jobs even that Hillary promised for upstate New York, 250,000 of them, never materialized. And she is promising today that same old, the old rope-a-dope is what she's doing. The okey-doke is what she's doing. We're going along with that, counselor. And let me say this to you. And man, I just love it when you come with your preacher frock on and you preach. I mean, boy, you preaching today.
Well, I'm just, I just feel so strongly about this. And again, I'm more concerned about this country than my comfort. And very frankly, of anyone who's listening who may not be comfortable pulling the lever for Donald Trump, considering what our alternative is.
Point well made, Chairman. I want to thank you for being here. Stay with me. Don't go anywhere. We're coming up in the next segment. I am going to have on Mike Collier with me, who is chairman of the Parish Republican Executive Committee over in Bossier, and want to talk to him as well while Lewis is here in studio with me. I'm CL. This is the CL Bryant Show. Don't any of you go anywhere. CL back with you on this rainy evening in the jewel cities of the Arklatex, Shreveport, and Bossier City. And there is a remedy for being dazed and confused, and that is knowledge of what is going on and people who can actually shed light on some of the perplexing questions that we have in our modern political playground that we're all looking at right now. Coming to the show now for the first time, Mike Collier, chairman of the parish Republican Executive Committee in Bossier City, Bossier Parish rather, and he holds the Republican State Central Committee seat. He is the owner of Manpower Employment Service since 1986, a Republican since 1972. I want to thank him for his service to our great nation. He is a Vietnam veteran and 1988 chairman of the Independence Bowl. Welcome, Mike Collier, to the C.L. Bryant Show. Thank you for being there.
My pleasure.
You know, Mike, before we get rolling, I want to point out that happening over in the 4th Congressional District on the 18th is a candidates debate that will feature Trey Balcom, Rick John, Oliver Jenkins, Elbert Guillory, and Mike Johnson. Now, this is going to take place at Bossier Parish Community College in Building C. 7 p.m. is when the debate starts, and that address is 6220 East Texas Street in Bossier City. And you have all types of hosts. C.L. Bryant Show is one of them, along with Sarsh Technologies, Manpower, Paul M. Dixon, Tom Arsenault, Harold Coates, Amanda Downing, and Senator Beryl Peacock. All are hosting this event. Tell us, what are we wanting to accomplish, Mike, with this type of debate?
Well, we wanted to establish a venue where our major candidates could showcase their beliefs and their talents. We wanted to expose them to the voting public. Sometimes the voting public doesn't have the opportunity to see their candidates up live and for real, other than on the stump. We're going to be able to put on a show of about 90 minutes, questions being asked, answers being required, and some discourse by and between the candidates. It should be interesting. And it's certainly worthwhile.
And I like the way you put that, questions being asked and answers being required. Have you found in your experience that so many times we have asked the questions, but the answers have not come to the questions that we have asked? Is that a part of our problem, is that we are ignored so many times in the questions that we ask?
Well, of course, candidates being professional politicians are geared to steer away from answers that might cause a bit of a problem. Now, we've seen that in our Republican candidate, Donald Trump, but when we ask a difficult question, the candidate will do the Texas two-step, run out his time on some non-issue comments, and stand back and wait for the applause.
Mike, are you seeing an evolution in the way we, the voter, we, the people, are looking at our candidates in lieu of this 2016? Has there been something that has happened in the political process that has changed since you've been viewing it and witnessing it yourself, would you say?
Well, I think so. If you go back into the 70s and 80s, there wasn't that much difference between the Republican nominee and the Democratic nominee, but that has certainly changed. Anger is now the buzzword of the day. The Republicans are mad at the Republican leadership for sure. The Republicans are mad at the direction the country is taking, and I'll tell you this, and Democrats are also. Anger opened the door for a different kind of candidate to rise to the surface. And to the chagrin of some of our Republican leaders, it is what it is. And I think the Republican electorate is really taking a hard look and will for some time to come now. Things have certainly changed, at least in my view.
What is the message that we now, I being a Republican as well, and yes, the nominee is Donald Trump, and guess who I'm voting for? I'm voting for Donald Trump because I still believe and do believe that the Republican message is far superior to that we have seen we look back in history, basically any time that we have seen since 1964 in this country. But our party seems to be splintered in some ways. We have 83 days, and I have Louis Avalone here in studio with me, Mike. We have 83 days before November 8th. What message must we craft? What must we do? I see you're doing the debate, but in your opinion, where can we get on this track? Where can we get back on this track, in your opinion?
Well, obviously, it's up to Donald Trump to do that. And we sit here in the red state of Louisiana, and I feel almost helpless because we feel like we're going to do our job in Louisiana, but it's almost already done. But Donald Trump has got to get up into Ohio. He's got to campaign in Pennsylvania. He's got to get his message out in Florida. And we've got to be competitive in Virginia and a couple of other battleground states for us to win this thing. Now, it doesn't help us that some of our Republicans, leadership, senators, some congressmen have turned on us a little bit because they don't like a few comments that Donald Trump has made. Well, that's too bad. Donald Trump is a truth teller. And truth tellers are hard to find these days in our government.
Yes.
And when people jump up and say he's telling the truth, it may not have come out just right. It may stir up a little anger. It may bother some people. But the fact of the matter is, if we don't start telling the truth to our people in these United States, we're going to lose our country.
I like it. I want you to. Can you stay with me through the break, Mike? On the other side of the break, can you stay with me?
Sure, I can.
Hold on for me. And Louis, he was saying something here that I really, really like, and it dovetails into what you were saying. Truth tellers make people uncomfortable, and evidently, the truth that Trump is telling is that we've been chumps. That's basically what he's telling us.
Right, and
Yeah.
not everything that feels comfortable is what we need.
Right.
And not everything that is uncomfortable should necessarily be avoided.
And we're trying our best to avoid the truth.
Exactly.
And the truth is there's something different that has to take place for us to survive. And that's what Mike is saying. We're going to lose the country if we don't listen to the things necessary to cause us to survive, and that's to wake up. I'm CL. This is the CL Bryant Show. I'm your native son, broadcasting throughout the fruited plains of the greatest nation on the face of the earth, the greatest success story the world has ever known. That would be America. We'll be back with Mike Collier and Louis Avalone when I return. CL back on this rainy evening in the jeweled cities of the Arklatex, Shreveport, and Bossier. It is I, your native son, and I want to remind all of you of an event that will take place on the 19th, Thursday. That's tomorrow, on the 18th, I'm sorry. Yeah, tomorrow, the 18th. The 18th at Bossier Parish Community College. That's tomorrow night. Thursday, the 18th. Bossier Parish Community College, Building C, 6220-6220, East Texas. That's the Bipsy campus there in Bossier. They will host both, and this is a joint effort between the Bossier Parish and the Caddo Parish Republican Party. Really glad to see them working together. It is sponsored by the following: Sarsh Technologies, Manpower, Paul M. Dixon, The C.L. Bryant Show, Harold Coates, Tarm Arsenault, Amanda Downing, and Senator Barrow Peacock. There is no charge. Listen, you need to come out and see firsthand, witness firsthand, ask firsthand your questions to the candidates that are running in the 4th Congressional District. It makes a difference. And on the line with me are two of the gentlemen who have made this possible, the unity that we need to show now throughout the country in our party, Mike Collier and Louis Avalone. And when we left, we were talking about the discomfort. Mike, back to you. Louis and I were talking about how the truth, you called Trump a truth teller, and I believe he is. He says it like he is, and it makes people uncomfortable. How have we gotten to a point where telling the truth about who we are as Americans, or who we should be as Americans, why are we uncomfortable with that?
Well, from what we get told, and then we sit around for a year or two and find out what really happened, and it happens over and over and over again. And I got to believe it started in the middle 60s, late 60s. I think the Vietnam mess over there started it for us to demand truth in our government. And at times we seem to get it, and then at times we don't. And we're in a process now. I mean, we're in a period now of the last 8 years or so where Americans certainly don't believe they got told the truth. And we're demanding it now, and you can see it in this presidential campaign.
Yes, you can see it in this presidential campaign. There's no question about it. Louis, the piece that you wrote was just really outstanding. And so you, too, are hearing it from people who say they are uncomfortable. Now, earlier, I wanted to point out to everyone that there was once a founding of this nation where men took an uncomfortable position, and they had to say this to their families, their children, that we're pledging our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. We've gotten to a point of not only discomfort, and we want to believe almost a lie, and the Democrats are good at stealing our story as Republicans. But we've gotten to a point where we are too comfortable in things perhaps that we now must take seriously. I mean, the economy shouldn't make you comfortable. The unemployment circumstance should not make you comfortable. The schools in our districts should not make us comfortable. So why then, when Trump is talking about better education, when he's talking about employment, making it better, why does that make people uncomfortable? I just don't get it. Your point of view.
Well, I think that for a lot of folks, they are adopting a narrative that is being fed to them over the internet, on every news show. And so they're looking at Trump through a lens that he must be racist, he must be bigoted, he's too temperamental, he's unpresidential, he doesn't look or sound the part. So I think that his message isn't really getting to those folks who have already decided that he is all of those things. And so, some of them are considering voting for other candidates or not voting at all. Maybe they're not comfortable with any of the choices.
But Mike, let me ask you, isn't Trump what haven't we been asking for this type of change agent in Washington, D.C.? Why are we running away from him now that he's come, in your opinion?
Well, we call that busting somebody's nest. You're comfortable with where you're at. You're comfortable with what's going on. That's a very small part of the Republican party. Up comes Donald Trump, the truth teller, who tells you, when you elect me, a few of these nests are going to have to go away. Most of us cheer that. Some of us don't. Those that are not cheering it are the ones you're hearing about. I'm not going to vote for Trump. I am anti-Trump. I am anybody but Trump. I'm going to go vote for this. I'm going to go vote for that. I'm staying home, whatever you might be. Those are the people that get uncomfortable with
Yeah.
the change that's on the horizon.
Yeah.
And you can call names. I'll call them. That Lindsey Graham is one of them.
Yeah, I'm surprised at him, to tell you the truth.
John Kasich. And in the state of Ohio, we desperately need a guy that we desperately need on our side is standing there with his arms crossed. Ted Cruz, a guy that we desperately need to be with us, wants to take a step back. Jeb Bush.
Yeah.
His son comes out and says, we're for Trump. Jeb's standing there. We need Jeb in Florida, for goodness sakes.
Yeah.
We need all of our players.
We need all of our players on the field. Gentlemen, the time just flew by. And Mike Collier, this won't be the last time that you're on. As we get closer to the election, I want to hear from you. Lewis, of course, you're a regular on the show, and want you to be on with us. And throughout the Fruited Plains, what you have heard are two native sons of Louisiana telling you the message. This message, this is what we want. We had wanted a change agent. Let's embrace it and let's get the change. Mike, thank you. Lewis, thank you. I'm CL. We'll be right back.
Oh, let the sun beat down upon my face. Stars fill my dreams. I am a traveler of all time.
CL back with you on this Wednesday here in the jewel cities of the Architect, Shreveport and Bossier City, where we emanate the CL Bryant Show from. And we're streaming live throughout the fruited plains of the greatest nation on the face of the earth. That is America, the greatest success story the world has ever known. 320-5335, 320-5335 is the number to call if you want to talk. On the line with me now is Jesus. Jesus, long time no hear from. Glad to hear from you tonight, though. How have you been?
I know it, CL. Doing fine and still fighting the fight. But listen, I appreciate your topic tonight. I believe, now this is just my personal belief, that the media has the biggest role in convincing, not accepting the Christians, accepting what is being propagated in the liberal agenda. When it comes to when it comes to Common Core, I got in trouble. We went to a meeting at BIPSI when regarding Common Core, and I mentioned, because there were parents were speaking out how their kids were, depressed, one had committed suicide, and I got in line to comment, and I said, this, when it gets to this place, why weren't our elected officials, from the school board to the principal, why didn't they tell the parents what was coming down on? Because by the time now, we're having problems with all this Common Core. And so I think our elected officials don't do their job, and we, here in the media, we kind of accept what they're propagating. And so when Donald Trump comes on the scene, he seems like, out of the ordinary, and that's why people raise a ruckus, because he is telling the truth.
And you know what? That is, if we take the time, and between the breaks, when Lewis was here with me before I brought on Mike Collier, Lewis was saying if people would let themselves get comfortable with the idea of Donald Trump, I think they would understand that he does not mean our country any harm. That's the thing. Somehow the story that they have been buying into, Pastor, is this: they have been buying into the fact that Trump wants to hurt you. No, he doesn't. It's been the Democrats who have been hurting you. That's what it's been.
And I think he needs to take the message to all these cities that have been run by the Democratic mayors and everything, and take it to their turf and explain to them that they have done nothing but hurting the whether they're blacks or Hispanics, Mexicans, or whatever. They just need to take it to them, and we're going to do something different. The next four years, and I'm hoping and praying that he will. I'm totally behind him. And I just want to thank you for what you do for us, CL, and I listen to you every day.
God bless you, man. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this. And listen, we'll talk soon.
Okay. Thank you now. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Yeah, folks, that is the crux of the matter, that we must go in a different direction. The third term of Barack Obama is not a different direction at all. And Hillary Clinton represents that same direction. If you are a person who has voted for Barack Obama, and you voted for him twice over these 2 terms that he's had, I defy you to ask yourself and answer yourself honestly. Is your situation in this country better now than it was when you cast your vote? How is that hope and change stuff working out for you? Be honest with yourself. 320-5335, 320-5335. Let me tell you about 2 South Carolina teens who were arrested on murder charges Monday after allegedly killing a Good Samaritan who helped them out of a ditch. And I want to ask this question as well, because both of these teens were black, and the victim, the Good Samaritan. Oh no, he wasn't white. Oh no. He was black too. They waved him down. They flagged him down. They needed help. They were stuck in the ditch. Let me tell you this story if you haven't heard it. He got out, looked at the situation, told them that he'd help them out. If they could give him $20, just give him something to help him out. Pulled them out of the ditch. Then he asked them for the money. One of them shot him in the chest, killed him. My question is, Reverend Al Sharpton, Black Lives Matter, do you have any comments on that? Do you have any comments on that? Because now, if this had been any way a racial incident where the tables were turned and you could make some type of political hay with this story, you'd be out there. But this is what I have been telling you and talking to you about, Americans, and this is the story. In Chicago, nearly 4,000 people have been shot this year. But there are people burning places down. Now, this Good Samaritan who helped these two, yes, I'll say it, thugs out of that ditch was a black life too, who was taken by two black lives. I'm going to talk to you some more about it when I return, because I want to know where the hands up, don't shoot crowd is, as I'm sure this Good Samaritan had to have done in his last acts on this earth.
Skin, yeah, chill me to the bone.
CL. Yeah, rightly so. The family of Mr. Garrett, Chadwick Garrett, I won't call the names of the thugs who killed him. Chadwick Garrett had a family. Yeah. And he wasn't trying to stick up a liquor store. He wasn't outside of a liquor store selling CDs. He wasn't running from the cop, neither did he have a gun in his hand. As most of the victims in Chicago of gun violence by thugs in the streets up there, they don't have them either. He was a good Samaritan. He saw two young men, and this is what Black Lives Matter, and this is what Hands Up, Don't Shoot, Occupy Wall Street, you name them. This is what the George Soros crowd wants you to believe. That black folks are being killed inordinately by people who don't look like them. That is not true. And you can call me whatever you want, but that's not true. What is true is that this man saw two people who did look like him in trouble. He stopped to help them. They killed him. They were in a vehicle that they weren't authorized to be in. A lot like the guy who ran into the police cruiser, the Jaguar, the guy who stole the Jaguar and ran into the police cruiser. He wasn't authorized to be in that either. Neither was the guy who was running down the street with the gun and told by the black officer to drop the gun. He wasn't authorized to have that gun either. Yet, you have folks setting fire to inner city Milwaukee. My question is, now, if Mr. Chadwick Garrett's family, righteously so, were to go and demonstrate at the apartment complex where these two clowns were picked up, and actually do something crazy there, you know what they would do to them? They would haul them off in chains, but they would be righteous in their indignation. They would be righteous in their indignation. But what we glorify in this country right now are people who have indignation over people who are unrighteously dying by their own hands, their own actions. And we're glorifying that. The Democrat Party actually kowtowed to that. Hillary Clinton had, she gave them space. That is not the problem in Black America, and is not the problem in America. It certainly is not. What the problem is senseless violence like this that happened to Chadwick Garrett. A good Samaritan saw two young men who looked like him, and then we want to ask the question, why is it that people are so paranoid in this country today? This doesn't help the paranoia. Oh, man. I tell you what. There is a dividing line that is being drawn in this country by progressive liberals, and it is dividing the classes, white or black. It's not going to fall down along color lines, folks. Hear me. Hear me. This situation is not going to fall down along color lines. And all of you, I have many black listeners. They're in the closet. They don't tell anybody, but I know you're listening to me. Oh, yeah, you're there. Let me tell you what the deal is. Jay-Z and people like that, the Obamas and people like that, they're never going to count themselves in the group of those who do this type of crime. They never have to worry about the consequences that people like this who commit this type of crime have to worry about. Not doctors, not lawyers, not even teachers or college professors, not preachers, not even the deacons of the church, the black or the white church, have to worry. Any of those that I've named, black or white, they never have to worry about this. They may actually support your lunacy, but they support your lunacy knowing that they never have to worry about the consequences of being stupid and doing this type of thing. Because there is a line being drawn between classes of people. And those of you who want to continue doing this type of stupid stuff, marching in the streets with hands up, don't shoot, and that type stuff, singing a mantra that everybody knows is absolutely true because all lives do matter. Those of you who want to continue doing that, you need to understand that there are people who will actually egg you on and support you who will never suffer the consequences with you because you're being used as a tool. Do you understand me? Why is it so hard for you to see that you're being used? Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, even Bill, who said, I feel your pain. No, he doesn't. Never would. Never can. I'm going to talk to you about why we need to answer this question because I heard you ask me, well, how can Donald Trump feel that pain? I'm going to tell you how when I return.
She's a good girl, loves her mama, loves Jesus, in America too. She's a good girl, is crazy about Elvis, loves horses, and her boyfriend too.
Broadcasting from the Bayou State and all around the Gulf Coast and streaming nationwide. This is the C.L. Bryant Show.
CL, it's your native son here with you on this Wednesday evening in the jewel cities of the Arklatex. Now, as I told you, as I promised, I would tell you, why then would Trump make a difference? If in fact we were to vote for him, why is it that he feels your pain? Why is it that he would feel the pain of the working man better than a Hillary Clinton, a Barack Obama, or a Bill Clinton, or anyone like Harry Reid or Nancy Pelosi? Why is it that Donald Trump can feel your pain better? Let me tell you why. Because he has publicly failed, publicly fallen down from the ivory tower, and he worked his way back into prosperity. The others have basically received government checks for most of their lives, if not all of their lives. Barack Obama has never received anything other than a government check. And for the longest time, for the last 30 years, 35 years, the Clintons have received nothing more than a government check, either from the state of Arkansas or from being presidents of the United States. And I say presidents. 320-5335 is the number to call. On the line with me, who do we have, Michelle?
Patricia.
Patricia, thank you for listening. Thank you for calling. What's on your mind?
Hi, CL. This is Patricia. We know each other.
Patricia, glad you're there. How do we know each other?
We know each other through Jimmy and George. Last time I saw you,
Yes.
at the building, and I was in my office doing my job, and you were interviewing a Republican gentleman who was a conservative.
Yeah.
A black gentleman as well.
Yeah.
And I came in and gave everybody a hug, and I left real quick.
Yeah, that was Albert Guillory that was there. Yes, I do remember that.
Awesome.
I do remember that.
Yeah, he was awesome.
What's on your mind?
Anyways, well, first and foremost, I just want to tell you how very proud I am to say that I know you, and that all that you have done and inspired me. You
bless your heart.
You inspire. Yeah, no,
bless your heart.
No, you inspire me. You and your wife and your family. You're just awesome. And I knew that I fell in love with your message instantly when Al Sharpton wouldn't talk to you. That was awesome.
Yeah, Al sort of slinked away from me there in the movie.
Yeah, he did. But my question for you today is, how did you feel about Donald Trump? I watched it for the first time. I have actually totally disabled cable in my house, and so I have to download everything. And finally, a couple hours after Donald Trump's speech last night, I downloaded it, and I was listening to it, and I found it profound. I mean,
Yeah.
I've never heard anybody specifically speak to a group of people on a logical level besides you, and besides the conservative leaders that you had in your movie,
Yeah.
The Runaway Slave. I've never... My family, I was adopted by my best friend's family when I was a young child because my mother didn't want me anymore. And,
Wow.
and my best friend, her family's black, and I was like the only white person in the family. But you're the only person that I've ever. Yeah, I'm kind of like the jerk.
Oh, no, far from it.
Absolutely. But,
it sounds like an incredibly interesting story, really, though.
No, you were absolutely inspiring to sit down and speak about the transformation of the black American in America to anyone, no matter what color you were. And it was just like so interesting. I remember at the premiere of at one of the premieres of your movie here, I walked up to you and I said, God, there's just this message just has to get out to young black Americans. I mean, because I find so many are just in the rut, like you were saying. They just keep voting Democrat and nothing happens for them. But my question to you is, what did you feel, or what did you get from his touching on many points? And I know he's got people now that are writing for him that are much more conservative. But like, what did you feel that the points were that he elaborated on that you actually touched on many times in your movie, The Runaway Slave?
Right.
And
Right, Patricia. You know what? I'm glad you asked the question. Very good question.
I will get off the phone and let you talk. But everybody that works with you is awesome, and I hope to see you guys at the debate at BC.
All the best.
And
All the best
yeah,
to
yeah,
you.
I'll see you there. I'll see you there. But you go ahead and talk, and I'll just get off the phone.
God bless and keep you.
You too.
God bless and keep you. Folks, thank you so much. Patricia, thank you so much for calling in. Thank you for listening. There were several things that I believe that show us the real Donald Trump, and you can get him at Real Donald Trump. That's his Twitter, if you're not following him already. But I've met him a couple of times. I've met Trump a couple of times, Patricia, and both times it was in a more candid type of situation. And that's the guy that you saw behind the podium yesterday when he gave the other day when he gave his speech. That's the guy that you want in the Oval Office. The guy who is not trying to play to any type of crowd or anything, because understand that when you have a crowd, now when I come back we'll talk a little bit more about it. When you have a crowd out there in front of you like that, you know, even the C.L. Bryant persona, when I go on stage, that's different than the guy that you sit down with one-on-one. Understand that. But Trump is the guy that you meet one-on-one. That's the guy you want. That's the guy you'll get if you'll elect him. I'm CL. I'll be right back.
Ain't on the edge of no
CL, back with you here, broadcasting from the jeweled cities of the Arklatex, 3205335, 3205335. And on the line with me is Ken. Ken, thank you for listening. Thank you for calling. What's on your mind, friend?
Hey, CL, love the show. Listen more often than not.
Thank you.
No party candidate for Congress in the 4th District of Louisiana. I'm Mike Johnson, Albert Guillory, 2 of the other 7.
Yeah.
And I have a passion, and I have ideas, and I'm a retired state employee. I retired a year ago. I worked at Social Security Disability, and I'm the guy on the 4th down at the riverfront. I recite the Declaration.
Yeah.
And from memory. And later this month, if I can get permission from the Dr. Martin Luther King Center in Atlanta, the Intellectual Property Management, I'm going to go up to Washington and recite I Have a Dream from memory at the Lincoln Memorial like Dr. King did 53 years ago. I want the young people to be able to understand Dr. King's message. Most of them were born well after his 1968 assassination.
Oh, yeah.
They don't understand his message.
Yeah,
so
that's true. Most have no clue. And you know what, Ken? You know what's amazing about what you're saying is so many of the crowd of Black Lives Matter, so many of the crowd of Hands Up, Don't Shoot, they have no reference, no point of reference to that historic moment in America when King delivered that speech.
Well, he said, "Let us not allow our creative protest to degenerate into physical violence."
Exactly.
So, if you're ever bored and you want me to come visit for a few minutes, but I'd love to send you my ideas to whatever the appropriate website is or email.
Yeah, of course. You can always send whatever information you want to our website, TheCLBryantShow.com, TheCLBryantShow.com. And, there's no problem with that whatsoever, but I love talking to you here in this fashion on the phone. But listen, Ken, I want to thank you for what you do because it is important, and I want to thank you for listening more often than not and calling in tonight. The lines are stacked. I got to go, got to take another call.
I appreciate you.
God bless and keep you.
Okay.
Okay, brother. On the line with me, oh my goodness, Michelle, is Socialist Stephen. Is it Socialist Stephen? Socialist Stephen, what do you want? Welcome. I'm always glad to talk to you, man. Always glad to talk to you. But it always amazes me that you call just me. You call me. Well, I think you call Hannity too. To tell you the truth, I've heard.
Yeah. Born in the USA.
That's me, man.
Born.
You too.
That was awesome yesterday. That was you got me pumped up with that song yesterday.
Hey, man, American to the core. What's on your mind, brother?
You know he does a lot of griping in that song, but
well, yeah, he does a lot of griping in that song, and it was a protest song.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And I just want to tell you, this week your guests have been superb. The little bit I've been able to listen to this week.
Yeah.
Your guests have been superb.
We strive more and more every time for more and more excellence, Stephen. Even you are a part of that striving for excellence because you're excellent in your deception.
I just wanted to, pump you up a little bit. Last week you were a little down. I got worried about you. I really did.
It's called sleep deprived. That's what it's called, Steve. It's called sleep deprived.
And look, just remember this. If it doesn't turn out your way in November.
Oh, you're trying to prepare me for something.
No, I got enough time. You got somebody to be on for 4 years.
Well, that's the bright side, I guess. But no, but Stephen, this is my worry. My worry is not having material to work with. My worry is having a country to live in, having a place that we can still call a republic. And I think you don't you progressive liberals, you don't take this seriously enough. What the republic meant then and what the republic should mean to us now. That's my concern. Not that I'll have material for radio, but that we'll have a republic to call our own.
Well, I do take it serious. This country has been through a lot. Let me ask you a question, because you went through a lot about socialism last week.
Mm-hmm.
When in the 1933. When everybody pretty much voted for the New Deal,
mm-hmm.
You don't think that was a huge socialist movement?
Oh, absolutely it was. But of course, that was a socialist who did it, Franklin Delano Roosevelt,
Yes, and
and his wife, Eleanor.
6 years later or 7 years later, what happened to the wealth of this nation under the socialist programs called the Department of Education, Social Security?
Well, that's not what drove it. That's not what drove the wealth of the nation. Not the New Deal programs. What drove the wealth of the nation was the capitalist free market system that made room for the Department of Education and all of the other things that were laid out. You see, we forget it wasn't Roosevelt. It was the American people who made that era in time successful. Stephen, you know how this works, man. I'm up against the clock.
One more quick thing.
Go ahead, quickly.
The 150 years before that was pure capitalism, and we were a poor nation.
Yeah, but we were on our way. The seeds of prosperity had been planted. I'll talk to you in detail about that next time you call in. God bless you, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
I'm CL. We'll be back for the close in just a minute. Now, folks, tomorrow I will be preparing to head out to Chicago. The show will be an incredible show for you. There is no question about it. I want you to tune in. I'll call in myself. I'll be calling in, but sitting in the catbird seat here, sitting in the chair. And mine's going to be the platinum, the platinum microphone, the BMG Bryant Media Group platinum microphone. Sitting behind it will be none other than Dr. David McMillan, who will be hosting the show. He'll have guests, have me on. I'll be coming on myself. I want you to tune in because you don't want to miss tomorrow's show. Strategies for Living is Dave McMillan's show, Dr. Dave. It's his show. And, folks, I tell you something. There's no better mind in all the country than Dr. Dave McMillan. There's no better mind. And he's graciously decided and said that he would stand in for me then. Now, of course, you know I always have two other great minds who are in the lineup to co-host for me when I'm out, and that is none other than the doctor himself, Mike Woods, who sits in my chair when I'm gone, as well as my good friend Mike Johnson, who a lot of times sits in the chair when I'm gone. But I'll have to go up to Chicago. There's some things that we have to do as far as trying to make the country right now that we're looking at changing Chicago, but there are some things that we have to do as far as conversation is concerned, building that bridge to conversation. And on top of that, I'm trying to break into the market in Chicago. Wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't it be something, your native son coming over the airwaves there in the hometown of Barack Obama? It would be significant. And so we're planting seeds everywhere that I go, trying to break into various markets. So it's a necessity. And it's going to be that way up until after November 8th, that I'll be in and out. And I've prepared you and told you this, but I want to thank all of my audience, every one of my sponsors. I want to thank every one of you. You know who you are. And folks, you hear their advertisements on the show through the breaks. You hear them. And I ask you, please support them, because when you do, you support the show. Well, I want to thank God for bringing us to the close of yet another day. And I want to thank Him for our men and women in uniform around the globe who defend our right to speak our mind. And until I'm able to talk to you again, I'm CL, and may God bless and keep you all.
And to the families left behind, we'll stand by your side, and the bond will never be torn.